You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again. Today, man, we have another show lined up for y'all. We're going to talk to our special guest for today. Her name is Leah Mazur, and she is a certified divorce recovery coach for women. And with today's topic, man, we're going to talk about gain acceptance and move forward faster. And we're going to learn all about Leah. So first, I want to say thank you for being on the show today. And how you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. It's a great Monday, a great way to start the week.
Right. So, and once again, thank you for taking time being on the show today, taking time in your schedule. You are a certified divorce recovery coach for women, and you're a founder of Mindfully Ready, LLC. You specialize in helping women recover and rebuild after a divorce through a one-on-one coaching session that allows them to not just recover, but to build from that current state. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your personal story.
Yeah. So, well, I can go all the way back. So what really led me to this, when I was 16 years old, I witnessed my mother have an asthma attack in her home and die. And then 5 years later, my dad died of pancreatic cancer. And I am an only child. And so I was kind of alone at that point in the world to figure this thing called life out. And between those two losses, I managed to wind up in a very abusive relationship with a narcissist. So by the time I was 21, I was in rough shape, emotionally, mentally, very, very lost. And because of the loss of my parents, I had I was really, really afraid of being alone. I had abandonment issues. So I wound up being a serial monogamist, and I was just jumping from relationship to relationship for years because I was just terrified of being by myself. And so I wound up starting relationships for the wrong reasons. And 2 divorces later, I finally kind of realized, okay, I can't keep doing this. I'm going to need to do something differently if I want a different result, right? I had a daughter at the time, and I was feeling so much guilt for kind of dragging her through everything. And so my second divorce really was my wake-up call. And I had to focus on me and just face my fear of being alone and do the hard things so that I could finally learn how to stand on my own 2 feet, not feel like I needed a relationship in order to be happy. And so I did. We moved out of the house. We got our own. It's a very small, ugly little townhouse, but it was the only thing that I could afford at the time. So my daughter and I moved in there, and I really just did a deep dive on myself and building my confidence and self-esteem and self-worth and figuring out who I was. And so that led me to now coaching women who are going through a divorce and helping them build their confidence, because I basically can give them the best tools and the most effective strategies that I learned over my years of doing it and coming out the other side. So I can basically take all of the guesswork out for them and just give them a clear path to get to the place where they need to be.
And speaking of a clear path, when you are helping your clients, what's the main core that you try to drive through for them to realize in order for them to recover from the divorce?
Yeah, so one of the most common things I see is women feel like they're a failure. They feel, those feelings of failure because of their marriage, but divorce doesn't equal failure, right? sometimes relationships just take their course. And even though when you enter into those kinds of relationships, no one obviously thinks that they'll wind up getting divorced when they get married. But sometimes that is just the way things play out. And so you really need to see it as an opportunity to create the life that you really want. So to not beat yourself up about it, to not feel like if your marriage failed, that means you are a failure. That's really a big one. And building confidence. You know, when you go through a divorce, you can feel a lot of guilt and shame. You know, it can be embarrassing. And so your self-confidence can really take a nosedive. And so we really work on building that back up again so that you can feel good about yourself.
Once again, listen to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Leah Mazur, and all about today's topic, how to gain acceptance and move forward faster. And when you work with your clients, you also have a private Facebook group. How do you build that community to where, is it designed to where they can kind of reach out to each other and talk, or is it still more like just some updates and you keep it personal, one-on-one coaching?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a community. So when you're going through a divorce, it can be extremely isolating. You know, it's not often that you are experiencing a divorce and at the same time, you know someone in your life who's going through a divorce. Usually you're doing it and you're the only one. And so it's so important to connect with other people who get it, just people who have been in your shoes or who are going through the same thing right now, so that you can get that extra support, ask questions, hear about their success stories or what worked for them, what tools they used. So Divorced and Empowered is my private Facebook group. It's for women only. And yes, you can join if you want to connect with other women going through divorce. And I bring different specialists in there sometimes to help with different tips. We just had a health and wellness coach come in and talk about nutrition and fitness. You know, because that was a lot of the women in there had goals. We talked about what are your goals, you know, over the next 6 to 12 months, and taking better care of your health is one of them. So I like to try to have people in there to help. And I usually go in there about once a week too and talk about different things just so that there's that additional support for everybody.
And with that additional support, when you are working one-on-one, what's some of the common patterns that you see with your clients who may be making a mistake when they're trying to recover, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. One of the most common things I see is trying to start a relationship too soon, which it makes total sense. And I've been there. I mean, that's how I wound up getting divorced a second time, is because I went, after my first marriage, I was afraid to be alone, and I didn't want to take the time to figure out who I was and what I wanted. And so I hopped right back into another relationship. And so I do see that a lot, and it makes sense because a divorce is very stressful, so dating someone is a nice distraction. Healing can be really hard. There's a lot of ups and downs, emotionally. And if you're coming out of a divorce, most likely you haven't had that positive, intimate connection with someone in quite some time. And so it can be tempting to want that from someone else. So I mean, there's a lot of reasons to date, right? If you just need a self-esteem boost, but those aren't good reasons if you want to really set yourself up for success. You don't want to start a relationship to fill a void that you have in your life. And so the best thing you can do is create a life that you love, find fulfillment, fill your life with things that you enjoy, nurture other relationships that you have with friends or with family, or reach out to people maybe you haven't spoken to in a while. Try those different hobbies, do the things that you kind of always wanted to try but never had the time to, or just never got around to doing it, and just fill your life up. Because when you can create a life that you're happy with, that's the best time to start a new relationship, because then you're just adding value to your life. You don't feel like you need a relationship to be happy. You could just want one, for like extra. It's like the cherry on top of the sundae, right? That's the best place to be in to start a relationship, not when you feel like you're lacking something and you need to fill the void with an external source like another person.
You've been listening to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Leah Mazur, and she is a certified divorce recovery coach for women. And today's topic, we're talking about to gain acceptance and move forward faster. And when you talk about creating that value system, and let's unpack that a little bit, because in order for someone to move forward in this situation, it takes a process of realizing what's going on. So There's a situation that happened. How do I get from point A to point B? Not just happy thoughts, but like, okay, how can I really zoom in on what is necessary for me to start doing so that way I can make progress?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And when you are working with your client one-on-one, how many situations, well, not how many situations, but what are some situations where you're finding the client struggling with it, but then they have the light bulb that comes on, they're like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do that's necessary in order for me to actually move forward from this?
Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's actually that inner dialogue. I think we don't realize sometimes how negative our own narrative is, how we talk to ourselves, and how much of an impact that actually makes on how you feel and the choices that you make. So being more mindful of what you tell yourself and how you speak to yourself, that is huge. And sometimes just bringing that to their attention and having them start paying closer attention to what's going on in their own mind and what that inner voice is really saying, that can just change your whole life. I mean, that changes the way you feel, it changes the way you show up in the world, and it changes the choices that you're making.
And there's a good quote on your website, mindfullyready.com. Again, that website is mindfullyready.com. There's a quote on there that really caught my eye. I'm not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. I think that is a great quote. Break that down for the audience. What are you trying to bring across to that when you make that statement on your website?
Yeah, well, because life happens, right? I mean, there's constantly going to be things that happen to you that are just out of your control. So you have two choices. You can either decide to be a victim to those circumstances, or you can choose to rise above them and use them to your advantage and use them as a stepping stone to get to know yourself better or to grow and evolve as a person. What happened to you is not who you are. If you get divorced, that's not who you are. That's not your identity. It's what you choose to do afterwards. You have the choice to become whoever you want to be.
And with this very, I'm trying to find the right word, but I'll just put it this way. With this situation that women go through, I can imagine there's a lot of different emotions that go on. How do you deal with anger in this situation? How does an individual address that and try to move on from just that anger emotion? Maybe they might be having some relapse of memories or whatever. How do you help them get through those things?
Totally. Lots of anger can happen. Resentment. So there's a few different things you can do. The first thing is just get it out. So a great exercise is to sit down and just write all of the things that you're upset about, all the things you wish you could say to that person, all the things that they did or said to you that hurt or made you upset. get it out and get it down on paper. And then you can take it somewhere safe, maybe outside, and burn it. And that can be very therapeutic. Another thing that you can do is get physical. Anger is that is pent up energy in your body. And so you've got to get it out. And so one of the things that you can do is either exercise, like go for a walk, go for a run, hit a punching bag, or go for a swim, a bike ride, something physical like that. Dance, put on a playlist, create an angry playlist or some playlist that just gets you pumped up, and just jump and dance around your house, kick and punch the air just to get that angry energy out. And you can also scream into a pillow. Sometimes you have to scream and let it out. And so scream into a pillow until your heart's content. It's doing these things that help you release that angry energy, but in a productive way, as opposed to text bombing, your ex with all of the nasty things that you wish that you can say to them. That might feel a little bit better in the moment, but that's not really going to help your situation, and it could actually potentially worsen things. So you want to do things that will help you release it, but in a productive, more efficient manner.
Listen, I'm Refocus Radio talking to Leah Mazur, certified divorce recovery coach for women. And today's topic, how to gain acceptance and move forward faster. Her website, again, is mindfullyready.com. That's mindfullyready.com. Someone listening right now, they're ready. They heard this podcast and they want to get in contact with you like immediately. What was the best way for them to have a discovery call with you?
Just go to mindfullyready.com and you can click the button for discovery call right there on my homepage and schedule one with me so that we can chat.
And once again, I want to say thank you for taking your time to talk about what we're unpacking for today for women out there who happen to be in divorce and they need some coaching to not just put their life together, but to move forward, have a brighter future and recreate themselves, do what they got to do. Go in your private group chat, talk to other women and help each other out. I'll give you the last words. What would you like to say to our audience before we let you go?
I just want to say, if you are a woman going through a divorce, you are not alone. I know that it probably feels like you are, but you're not. And so it is important to assemble your Avengers, right? Like get support, get into those support groups so you can connect with other women and reach out for help, whether that's a therapist or a coach like me, because there's nothing like one-on-one guidance that can really take you further faster.
Once again, Leah Mazur, certified divorce recovery coach for women. I want to say thank you again for having an awesome conversation and taking time in your busy schedule to talk to Refocus Radio today.
Thank you so much for having me today.